Welcome to the Smart Keys podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So today we are diving into something that honestly affects pretty much everyone listening. Every time you glance at a new email notification, it actually takes your brain an average of like 23 minutes to fully return to your original task.
Yeah, 23 minutes. It's wild.
Right. It's a massive cognitive tax that you're paying throughout your workday, and you might not even realize it. So our mission today is to unpack this really insightful article by Felix Romer. It's titled Email Batching versus Real-Time Checking. And we want to give you, the listener, a comprehensive resource for basically reclaiming your focus, moving from living reactively in your inbox to building these proactive, highly efficient workflows.
Because if you look at the modern business landscape, we have essentially normalized constant interruption. I mean, professionals are spending just an enormous percentage of their day living inside their email clients.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's just refreshing.
Right? Just waiting for the next thing. We've accepted this culture where a ping or, a little pop-up is allowed to just yank us out of deep, meaningful work.
Yeah.
And then you reach the end of the week and you feel completely drained. But looking back at your output, it feels like nothing substantial actually got built or solved.
Okay, let's unpack this because on the surface, keeping an inbox tab open sounds completely harmless, right?
It does. It feels productive even.
Exactly. It's just a little notification banner sliding into the corner of your screen. You look at it, you dismiss it, you go back to work.
Right.
But according to the research in Romer's article, those constant pings are quietly stealing massive chunks of your absolute best work time. It's basically death by 1,000 micro distractions.
Yeah, and it all comes down to a biological and psychological bottleneck that we call switching costs.
Switching costs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you are deep into a complex project, right, let's say you're analyzing a quarterly data set or writing a complicated proposal or coding a new feature, your brain has loaded a massive amount of context into its working memory.
Like RAM in a computer.
Yes, exactly like RAM. And the moment you stop to read a new email, your brain is forced to abandon that current context and load up an entirely new one.
Even for just a quick glance.
Even if you only glance at the message for 10 seconds and decide not to reply, the switching cost is already paid. You've fragmented your focus.
Wow.
And making the switch back to your original task requires a huge amount of mental friction because you have to, reload all of that previous context from scratch.
That is just a complete disruption of your own priorities. Like, if you are constantly checking your email in real time, you are essentially letting anyone in the world with your email address dictate your daily agenda.
Exactly. They have direct access to your attention.
Right. You sit down with a plan to execute 3 major tasks, but the inbox hijacked your attention, and suddenly you're putting out someone else's minor fires all day long.
You're operating in a pure state of reaction. Swatting away whatever flies into your field of vision prevents you from engaging in the type of deep, uninterrupted work that actually moves the needle for a business.
I was reading this and thinking, it feels like a chef attempting to run a really busy kitchen, but constantly leaving the stove to go check the front door of the restaurant every single time a bell rings.
That's a great way to picture it.
Right. Someone walks in, the chef sprints to the front, says hello, figures out what the customer wants, and then sprints back to the kitchen. Now the chef has to wash their hands, check the temperature of the pan, figure out where they left the spatula, and remember the recipe step they were on.
And that reorientation is the exact switching cost we're talking about.
Exactly. How can we possibly cook a great meal or, do deep work in that state? The food will be terrible and the chef will burn out by noon. So how do we break this ingrained habit of needing to peek at every notification?
Well, keeping with that culinary theme, the text actually uses a brilliant analogy to map out the solution. If the problem is the frantic chef running to the door, the solution is acting much more like a baker.
A baker? Okay, how so?
The article introduces the concept of grouping or batching. A baker doesn't mix, knead, proof, and bake one single roll, and then start the entire multi-hour process over for the second roll.
Right, they'd never get anything done.
Exactly. They group similar tasks. They prepare and bake dozens of loaves in one massive synchronized run.
Ah, so you stay in the kitchen, finish the core job, and only check the door at predictable scheduled intervals.
Precisely.
So applying this to email means you stop treating your inbox like a live chat room and start treating it like a mailroom that you only visit, a few times a day.
Yeah, by batching the work of reading and replying, you drastically reduce that mental friction.
Mm-hmm.
You get into a rhythm, your brain stays in email processing mode,
Yeah.
and your decision-making actually speeds up.
Which reminds me of Tim Ferriss, actually. Didn't he popularize a lot of this, like checking messages and set frames and using autoresponders to set expectations with people?
He did, yes. And what's fascinating here is how Ferris took it far beyond a simple personal productivity hack and turned it into a massive organizational strategy.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, he didn't just check his messages in set structured frames and use those autoresponders. He took the most critical step for a leader. He empowered his staff to resolve disputes and customer issues entirely on their own, up to a limit of $100.
$100. Okay. So he essentially removed himself as the bottleneck.
Yes,
Yep.
completely. He knew that the vast majority of customer disputes or refund requests were actually under $20. So instead of his team constantly interrupting his deep work by emailing him for approval on a $15 refund, they just handled it based on a pre-approved framework.
That's brilliant.
By pre-approving those common low-stakes decisions, you avoid the endless escalation chain. The leader is freed up to actually steer the company, and the team doesn't have to sit around paralyzed, waiting for the boss to finally check their email. The boss isn't drowning in micro-decisions, and the business moves faster.
Okay, I hear that, and that sounds like a dream scenario for an author or a CEO who has the authority to just decree how the entire company will operate.
Sure.
But let's look at the reality for the rest of us. If I just stop answering emails as they come in, the immediate consequence is going to be intense FOMO, like the fear of missing out on a critical update or a shifting deadline.
Yeah, that's a very common fear.
And then there's the external pressure. Colleagues might get frustrated, or clients might feel neglected by delayed responses. And frankly, the sheer anxiety of facing a massive, overwhelming batch of 150 unread emails on a Monday morning because I didn't chip away at it over the weekend, that sounds paralyzing.
It does, and the article directly addresses those trade-offs. The primary cost of batching is absolutely a slower response time.
Yeah.
That can be incredibly jarring if your specific workplace culture has grown accustomed to instant gratification.
Oh, definitely. People expect an answer in 5 minutes.
Right. And a large unprocessed batch after a busy weekend can look like a mountain. But the text argues that overcoming this requires managing expectations and, more importantly, utilizing a very specific ironclad tech stack. The anxiety of FOMO fades relatively quickly once you experience a few days where the world doesn't end just because you took 3 hours to reply.
But relying on sheer willpower to ignore a buzzing phone or a growing unread badge for 3 hours is just a losing battle.
Oh, absolutely.
The temptation is simply too high. So the software has to do the heavy lifting, right?
Exactly. That is why Rumor's system relies on physical barriers and software routines to force the habit until it becomes second nature. The baseline routine, the absolute foundation to make batching stick, is picking 2 or 3 highly focused windows during your workday.
Like specific times on the calendar.
Yes. The article suggests a highly practical template for a standard U.S. workday. A 30-minute window at 10 a.m. for quick triage and urgent replies, followed by a second 30-minute window at 2 p.m. for deeper follow-ups and actually clearing the inbox down to 0. And outside those slots, devices go on Do Not Disturb.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because during the hours outside of those 2 windows, you don't just put your phone face down.
No, you take it a step further.
The article outlines an automation stack using tools like Gmail Snooze and Boomerang Pause. These tools go far beyond just silencing notifications. They literally hide incoming messages by holding them at the server level.
It's ingenious.
So if you have a moment of weakness at, say, 11:30 a.m. and you open your email client, there's absolutely nothing new in the inbox. The software physically removes the temptation to peek, holding all the mail hostage until your 2 p.m. window unlocks.
It ensures that the inbox serves your scheduling priorities, rather than allowing external senders to bypass your boundaries. And to tackle that other fear you mentioned, the overwhelming mountain of Monday morning emails, the article details a suite of secondary tools designed to aggressively trim the noise before you even lay eyes on it.
Okay, what kind of tools?
It highlights clean email, specifically calling out features like the unsubscriber, which mass removes you from junk lists, and the screener, which holds emails from unknown senders in a quarantine folder until you approve them.
So it's basically acting like a digital bouncer.
Exactly. A bouncer for your inbox.
And the article also brings up SaneBox, which I thought was really cool. It uses AI to analyze your past interactions. It learns what is actually important and automatically routes all the low-value items, the newsletters, the CC'd FYIs, the automated software alerts, directly into secondary folders or links them to your to-do
Right,
apps.
so by the time your 10 a.m. batching window rolls around, you aren't staring at 150 emails. You are looking at perhaps 20 actual meaningful messages from human beings that require your specific expertise. All the algorithmic noise has been swept away.
That sounds so much more manageable.
It really is. And when the clock starts on that 30-minute window, the strategy shifts to rapid execution. The article advises utilizing the 4Ds triage rule to keep these processing sessions ruthless and lean.
Ah, the 4Ds. Do, delay, delegate, delete. Let's walk through how that actually feels in a stress test scenario.
Sure.
So, you open an email from a client asking for a quick status update. Can you type that out and hit send in under 2 minutes? That's a do. You handle it immediately and archive the thread.
Boom.
Done. Next email. Your manager needs a detailed breakdown of a complex project that will take an hour of research. You do not leave that sitting in your inbox as unread to haunt you.
No, definitely not.
That is a delay. You defer it by creating a dedicated task in your project management software, schedule time on your calendar to actually do the research, and archive the email.
The inbox is no longer acting as a poorly designed to-do list.
Exactly.
And then the third D is delegate.
Huh.
You open a message, and it's a request that actually belongs to the design team. You forward it with the necessary context, assign it to the right person, and get it out of your court.
Just move it along.
Yep. And the final D is delete. It's a promotional offer or a useless FYI. You delete it or unsubscribe instantly. You cycle through those 4 options with absolute discipline.
Which keeps the momentum going.
Exactly. This momentum prevents lingering, eliminates the dread of a massive backlog, and guarantees you actually finish processing within your 30-minute block.
It's a fantastic framework for, like, an executive assistant, a software engineer, or a project manager. But if we are looking at the entire business landscape, this strict 2-window system assumes a certain level of autonomy, doesn't it?
It does require some control over your schedule, yes.
Because if my role is in customer support and I have strict service level agreements, SLAs, that legally dictate I must reply to a critical server outage ticket within 15 minutes, treating my inbox like a locked vault until 2 p.m. is going to get me fired.
Oh, without a doubt. And Felix Rumer is very explicit about mapping this method to the correct roles. He clarifies that batching is a perfect fit for project managers, sales reps, real estate agents, marketers, and leadership roles. Basically, positions where steady, strategic output and uninterrupted deep work are the ultimate metrics of success.
Right, the makers and managers.
Exactly. Roles bound by tight SLAs like help desk technicians, support specialists, or emergency dispatch teams, they require an entirely different, tailored approach. You cannot apply a one-size-fits-all fix to an operations center.
But even for the project managers and the sales reps, emergencies still happen. Like, a VIP client might have a legitimate crisis at 11 a.m. If the inbox is locked down, how does that critical signal punch through the noise without forcing the employee back into real-time checking?
That is where the tech stack needs to be really dialed in. The solution lies in building smart exceptions.
Smart exceptions.
Yes. Yeah. The text highlights advanced inbox tools like Missive, which allow you to program highly specific routing rules. You maintain your reception time blocks, holding the vast majority of emails back. But you program exceptions so that if an email arrives from a specific VIP client's domain, or if a colleague uses the exact word urgent in the subject line, the software bypasses the server hold and triggers a notification immediately.
Ah, so you essentially turn off push notifications by default for 95% of your daily communication, guarding your attention aggressively. But you rely on automated safety valves to let the true 5% of emergencies through the gate.
Exactly. You pair that with the autoresponders Tim Ferriss used, giving people an alternative channel, like a specific phone number, if their issue truly cannot wait until your afternoon processing block.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you aren't unreachable, you're just reachable on your terms.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the true transformational value of this concept is unlocked when entire teams adopt batching collaboratively. The article emphasizes the creation of a team playbook.
A playbook for communication?
Yes. This means formally writing down communication norms so that colleagues synchronize their batching times. If the entire marketing department agrees that 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. are universal processing windows, cross-functional collaboration actually improves. People know exactly when they will get an answer, which eliminates those frantic follow-up messages.
Oh, that's smart. And they also utilize shared workspace tools to handle generic company inboxes, right? Like an info at read or support at
Yes,
address.
exactly.
Because instead of 5 different employees receiving the same customer complaint, forwarding it to each other endlessly, and creating a massive chain of duplicate work, the shared software allows them to assign the thread to one specific owner.
And they can leave internal comments directly on the email thread itself. It standardizes the handoff process. A complex request comes in, someone tags a specialist in the hidden comments, the specialist gets the alert, and the problem is solved cleanly. The macro result of standardizing this across a company is fundamentally calmer management.
The chaotic energy of an overflowing inbox is replaced by steady, predictable output. It leads to thoughtful, researched replies rather than reactive, emotionally driven notes fired off in a panic. The ultimate metric of success here is that employees finish their workday with cognitive energy left over, rather than burning out from the exhaustion of endless context switching.
It really is a game changer for workplace well-being.
So, what does this all mean? Distilling this down to a practical, immediate takeaway for you. It means taking control of your calendar starting today. You do not need to overhaul your entire corporate culture overnight.
No, start small.
Exactly. Implement a simple 2-window routine tomorrow. Block out 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on your calendar for 30 minutes each, and close your email tab outside of those blocks. Set up an autoresponder to establish clear expectations with your clients and colleagues.
And don't forget to track your metrics.
Right. Monitor how long your batch sessions actually take and how many replies you successfully process. Review those numbers at the end of the week and tune the system. Turning those reclaimed minutes into hours of deep work is how you build a massive competitive edge.
This raises an important question, though, and it's something to deeply consider as you audit your own daily workflow. We've spent this entire time focusing on traditional email. But a strict scheduling, software pauses, and batch processing can completely cure the toxic relationship we have with our inboxes. Could you apply this exact same ruthless 2-window rule to your internal company chat applications?
Oh, wow.
Imagine treating Slack or Microsoft Teams exactly like an email inbox, checking it only twice a day, instead of treating it like an always-on walkie-talkie. Think about the sheer volume of deep work you could reclaim if you shut down the instant chat.
Treating Slack like a delayed mailroom rather than an emergency siren is a terrifying but incredibly powerful concept to leave you with. It requires a massive cultural shift, but it might be the ultimate key to true productivity.
It's definitely something to think about.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Smart Keys podcast. We highly encourage you to read Felix Romer's full article to explore all the specific software setups and team playbooks we analyzed today. You can find the direct link to the piece right in our show notes. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next deep dive.